Hi everybody, I am giving you an update as to what I've been up to. I know I finished my last socialites block about a couple weeks ago, and you might be wondering why I haven't actually sewn the whole top together. I will make a video on that as I go through that process. However, I was on a family vacation with my parents and my sister, and we went off to Ruidoso, New Mexico for about a week and hung out in a cabin and just enjoyed ourselves, trying to stay away from most people since we're still trying to do a little bit of social distancing. But I just kind of wanted to share my little stash treasure trove that I got when I was on vacation. And so the first place that we stopped, because I was very interested in seeing if I could find a knitting shop or a quilting shop up there. And unfortunately, they didn't have a yarn shop or a knitting shop, but they had a couple of fabric shops, which was nice. And so at my first place, we went to a place called a Quilting Stitchuation, and it's kind of run by this old couple, and they're really nice and everything. And so I was going in there and I was hoping to find the backing fabric for the Socialites quilt along. But they kind of had more modern fabric that wasn't really quite what I was looking for the quilt, but I did get a few things, of course, because I have to add to the stash. I got these lovely jelly rolls. They're kind of like kaleidoscope colors on them, and they're just really fun and have a lot of pop. So I got 2 of those for 40 strips each, or 40 strips together technically, and I'll probably do a jelly roll quilt with this at some point when I get around to doing stuff on my stash. And this couple, they're moving the shop, but they're still going to be in Ruidoso area, and they're also creating a retreat, which is the Stitch in Pines retreat. And I'll list all this down below in the description if you're interested in going out to a mountain retreat in the West and want to do some quilting as well. And none of this is paid promotions or anything. I think they're really cool, and these shops are really cool, and I just like to talk about them and what I kind of went through and got. So there's that first shop that I went to. And then the second shop was Martha's Fabric Shop. And it was kind of hilarious because it's run by these 2 twins, and they've got like eclectic clothes. They have upholstery fabric. They've got quilting fabric, cotton fabric. They've got like a lot of mishmash of everything, like for tailoring, for upholstering, clothing, jewelry, all that stuff. And it was really funny because they had this very old register, so they only took cash or check. So if you go and visit them, be prepared to whip out your checkbook or pay in cash, because they don't accept credit cards or anything like that. But luckily we had that on us, so we were able to go through that way. But there I was able to find some fabric that would go nice on the back. So there's this Jane Austen collection, a quilting fabric collection that came out recently. It's kind of got this Edwardian vibe to it, of course. Really pretty. And I've been itching to get my fingers on some of that. And it's got the colorways, and it's very similar like colorways to what I have for the front of my quilt. So I was like, okay, I can totally get away with putting this on my back as my backing. But unfortunately, the fabric that I wanted to cover completely on the back of the quilt, which is this beautiful white with like pinks and these blue grays, and it's just a lovely floral pattern. They didn't have enough for what I needed, because I needed about 7 5/8 yard for the whole backing. And they only had about 6 yards. So what I did, and I'm going to be a little thrifty, is I got 4 yards of this, and then they had this lovely panel, which is also a Jane Austen piece. And the panels are about 1 yard each. And I don't know if I can show you all of this, but it's got lovely triangles, and in the middle it's got this kind of bird motif and a diamond shape, so it basically repeats this on the other side of it. But so I got 4 yards of this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the panels and then sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance to get rid of any of the white in between those panels. And I'm going to have 2 panels on one side, and diagonally from each other I'm going to have the other panels facing each other. And these will also be cut into 2-yard increments and then sewed next to one of these. And as I make it in my vlog video, you'll see what I mean, but basically 2 yards of this gets sewn to 2 yards of this, and then the other will be sewn vice versa to make it kind of like a diagonal pattern. And that is going to be my scrappy backing for this quilt. So that was my kind of fun find. I was very happy that they had something that was kind of appropriate for the fabric that I had chosen for my socialites. But that doesn't mean that I don't like modern. Of course, I found this really cute purple, like modern fruit fabric, fruit and vegetable fabric, and I couldn't resist getting a yard of it. And the sisters there are very good salespeople because they came back with 2 other bolts of fabric that had colors that matched very nicely and like would help accent this very busy piece of fabric. So I got a yard of this light blue and a yard of this pink, this hot pink that goes with it. So I am still thinking of what I'm going to do with it, but of course this is going into my stash until I get done with the socialites. So those are my little treats that I was able to get on my travels. And then right before I left, I was able to finish one of my sweaters that I was knitting. So it's the Paloma sweater by Espace Tricot, and it's a very popular sweater on Ravelry right now, and it's up super easy. The only issue that I think I had, because I've never really done it before, was short rows on this backing. So you can kind of see on the backing where those short rows happen, but in the front is just a very nice fabric that came out. I chose to use Classic Elite's Yuri yarn, which is actually discontinued now, but I was able to get the orange colorway on sale, which is one of the reasons why I got it. And then I also added a really nice Sensai silk and mohair lace yarn to it. It really gives this beautiful halo to this piece, and it's just so soft and luxurious. And it was actually pretty cold up in the mountains, so compared to where I'm used to being in a desert. And so it was just a really nice, it wasn't a super heavy cloth, but it was just enough to keep me nice and warm. But this knitted up really nice and easy. The pattern itself was pretty easy and straightforward. I think it was mainly just maybe my knitting experience where I was knitting with double point needles at one point. When I got down to the cuff, it kind of created this very large, wonky kind of stretch mark because of the double point needles. So when I went to go knit my second sleeve, I decided to put it on my chagos, on like my circular needles, just to make sure that those areas weren't as like obvious and noticeable. So those are the things that I've noticed on this pattern. And then also on the back, like right up by here, by the neck piece, there's like a little bit of stretching, and I don't know if it's just my shoulders, but I can't really see from their pictures if they have this kind of stretching going on their model, but maybe it was just me. But that was the only other thing that's just a little noticeable to me that I personally don't like. Some people don't care about it. But other than that, I really enjoyed knitting up this sweater. So I would really suggest, like, if you want a nice turtleneck sweater, looking into the Paloma sweater on Ravelry. And I believe that is a free pattern, so I tend to gravitate towards free patterns. So while I was up in the mountains, I did bring another project along with me to work on, and it's my first color work project, and it's the J sweater by Rachel Brockman. And I kind of splurged on the yarn, and the yarn is from WIPyarn on Etsy, and they're actually somewhat local to me, so it was really nice to be able to support somebody that's kind of close to where I live. And they have beautiful yarn. Their colorways are so much fun. So the main colorway that I chose right here is Castle Stone, and then it's accented by My Heyday. So I got about 5 skeins of this and then 2 skeins of this one. They're DK weight yarn. Super soft. I believe it's a superwash merino mixed with something else. Don't quote me on that. But I did specifically want superwash because I'm giving this to a friend who's all the way over in England, and she's kind of a desert rat like myself, and so when she moved to England, it was cold, very cold for her, and damp. So I asked around Ravelry, and I was asking, you know, what's the best wool or fiber to like keep somebody warm, or like what are your suggestions if you want to make a warm garment. And a lot of people kept on throwing out, do a color work, because you've got your carrying yarns on the back, which adds like a little extra bit of thickness to your sweater. And so because it was my first attempt at a color work, I wanted to make sure that I didn't go too crazy gung-ho, but this pattern had a really nice collar area, so up here it's going to be a little bit more warm, and I think that will help. I also made the sweater a medium, just so that way she could fit a few more layers underneath this sweater, just to help layer it up. But overall, the instructions so far have been really easy to follow. I really like that they included like a diagram for this pattern. I'm just hoping that my work doesn't pucker too much. I don't think I was holding the yarn too tightly. I think it will lay flat once I block it when I'm done, but overall I don't think it's been too bad. I think my only issue that I had, which is for myself, is I'm not used to tensioning 2 yarns. So I'm used to doing one, but then I tried all sorts of wrapping around different fingers to try and tension both of them. And I kept on having an issue where they would slip together again, and it was just like, it was annoying. So I might invest in like a ring or something just to help keep those 2 yarns separated. I mean, as you can see, I managed. I got by fine without the ring, but I was constantly readjusting my yarn because I'm a continental. So I could have like, you know, maybe held one in one hand and one in the other, but I'm used to just doing continental, so I'd have to kind of retrain myself how to knit traditional, not continental. But overall, I really loved this yarn. Like, it's super soft and nice to work with. Like I said, it has super wash in it, and it has like this beautiful, lovely luster to it, even though I don't think it has any silk in it or anything like that. And it's super soft against the skin, and I love touching it and working with it. And I started this project about 2 weeks ago, like 2 Tuesdays ago, and because I told myself not to bring a lot of things up to the cabin, I pretty much was working on this the whole time. Whenever I kind of had downtime and I wanted to knit, I was working on it. So I'm already kind of at the separations of the sleeves right now. And so basically I just have to keep on knitting until I've finished the body. And then I will probably be putting more of this yellow at the bottom, and then when I work my sleeves, then there will also be more yellow at the end of those cuffs. But so far it's turned out really nice, really soft and squishy, and I hope my friend finds it useful from where she is, and I hope she likes it. But overall, I kind of really liked working on this up there, and it was just so beautiful and relaxing to get away to a cabin and just, you know, take it easy. We still did a few hikes. We explored the town a little bit. Besides going to local shops, yarn shops and quilt shops, I also like to go to local breweries. And so there was the Lost Hiker Brewery up there. So I was able to try a few of their beers. They're fun to go to, really nice people. And they have like a really cool logo. There we go. Sorry. I'm like really tired. We just got back today and I'm filming at the very end of the day. So I'm kind of really tired right now. But they have a really cool logo. Basically, this is what it looks like. And of course I had to get a growler just because growlers are very useful for not just carrying your beer around, but you can fill it up with water and put it in the fridge and keep things cool. But that was pretty much my update for right now. Hopefully this next weekend I am going to start going through my socialites, you know, cutting out the remainder of my pieces for the top, sewing that together, and then working on my bottom and backing of that piece. And then eventually we'll kind of come up with a plan of how I want to quilt it. Still having thoughts about that. I don't know if I want to do a simple pattern or if I want to like challenge myself and do kind of this oak and acorn meandering leaf compilation, which I really love. I really love oak leaves for some odd reason. They just like really tickle my fancy. And maybe I might do a zigzag of that across this whole entire quilt. It is going to be a full-sized quilt, so 81.5 inches by 81.5 inches. Unless I add a border, but I don't think I will, or maybe I'll do something that's very thin so it kind of frames the whole entire quilt. But that is to be decided when I get the quilt top piece together and my backing sewed together and I see how much extra I have, because I did get a little bit more than what I needed for my backing. So that is my update right now, and hopefully you guys will stick around to see what I'm doing next. Bye!